This is the third workout in the K Boges Double Your Max pull-up program. Today's workout is 5 ascending ladders with 30 seconds rest between rungs as well as between each ladder. The structure is to perform 1 rep, rest 30 seconds, 2 reps, rest 30 seconds, and so on and so forth until you reach technical failure or are unable to complete the next rung in each ladder. When failure does occur, you are to begin the next ladder starting again at 1 rep after a 30 seconds rest. For example, if in ladder number 1 you complete the first 5 rungs but fail to complete the 6th rung, you'd rest 30 seconds and start ladder number 2 at 1 rep. You guys saw that I've set up the gymnastic rings here at this basketball court as opposed to using a traditional pull-up bar. Although Kboges program specifies doubling your max pull-ups, today I'm going to be performing this workout doing chin-ups. If you've trained for any amount of time, you know that overuse injuries often come about when, like the name implies, we overuse any one area through the same exact movement pattern. While I'm fortunate to not have any current issues, I'm always a proponent of proactive prevention. One way we can best minimize the risk of overuse injuries is to change up our hand or grip placement. Even the smallest hand adjustment can drastically change the angle of demand on the muscles, tendons, and ligaments, even when we maintain the same relative motion. So instead of pulling our body up vertically with pronated hands, as is the case when doing pull-ups, by simply supinating or turning our hands to where our palms are facing our body, we'll effectively apply the load onto these various tissues quite differently. One of the reasons gym rings are so unique is the rotational component. For example, unlike fixed bars, rings allow you to grip the bar through pronation, and as you pull your body up, the rings can rotate through the rep, leaving you in supination at the top of the repetition. This is a great way to maintain an effective vertical pulling session under high volume without developing unwanted injuries. As always, I'm just going through a quick full body warm-up and mobility flow here prior to the targeted movement. My goal is to wake up my body, get the blood flowing to my extremities and mobilize my joints so things feel open, loose, and activated. This generally doesn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. I personally find it beneficial to give even the smaller joints and hinges, such as my fingers, wrists, ankles, and toes, the same level of attention as the larger, more common areas, like my hips, legs, back, shoulders, and chest. While this is injury prevention, it's also to activate a solid mind-muscle connection so my body can function as one unit, starting from my grip all the way down to my toes. I'm a firm believer that everyone's body is different and requires slightly different levels of warm-up and activation. I think a lot of this depends on overactive and underactive muscle groups caused by lifestyle factors. For example, if you sit a fair amount in front of a computer, you'll probably need to spend extra attention loosening up your chest, and specifically the pectoralis minor, so you can move without shoulder impingement or front deltoid pain. Other factors may even include things like sleeping position in terms of which bodily areas are tighter versus those that are looser. Here I'm just slapping on a little liquid chalk to ensure a strong, tight grip on the rings. And of course, I always like to perform a few additional scapula shrugs just before I begin. All right, so this is the start of the first ladder. Overall, I'm not too stoked about my form throughout the entirety of this workout. You'll notice my back is fairly hunched at the top of most of the reps, and my scapular retraction isn't as tight as it should be. The reps definitely felt stronger than they appear looking back here at the footage. Two things may have contributed to this. One being the instability of the rings. As I touched on earlier, unlike a fixed bar, the rings are free to move about, which for a lack of a better way to say it is kind of like quote unquote chasing the rings in each rep. Whereas with a fixed bar, it's easier to maintain ownership over each rep because of the greater stability. Secondly, looking back, I probably should have placed the rings slightly closer together. The farther apart they are, the more challenging it is to achieve full scapular retraction at the top of the rep. I might blame the wind here a bit for this one. It was fairly windy during the workout and the ring straps kept shifting farther apart, which made it difficult to maintain the same width. Next time I'll be sure to double wrap the straps for sure. So this is the 5th rung that I complete, and I probably got a little too ambitious here. I'm gonna try and go for the 6th rung. First couple reps start out pretty strong. Rep number 1, rep number 2. You'll notice here pretty soon I do fail at rep 5. All right, so this is the start of ladder number 2. Started out pretty easy, doing just the first rung here. Had to adjust the ring straps a bit. The wind kept pushing them farther apart. All right, and rung number 2. It's also not too difficult, just 2 reps. As I made my way here to the 3rd rung, I could certainly feel the fatigue compounding. Those 30-second rest intervals are pretty challenging. And then here I'm about to go for the 4th rung in the 2nd ladder. You'll still notice my hunchback is pretty bad. I don't really have great scapular retraction at the top of the rep. And then I do struggle here to get the 4th rep, but I do manage to complete it. And then I got a little too ambitious here again. I tried to go for rung 5. But I failed here. Got the first 2 reps. I think I start to go for the 3rd one here, and I just don't have the juice to even get up to the 3rd rep of the 5th rung. So then I'm going to start ladder number 3 here with 1 rep. After you've been at the previous ladder, the higher rung numbers, then when you fail and you start the subsequent ladder, the lower rungs with 1 and 2 reps, those first 1 and 2 rungs certainly feel pretty easy. So here in the 3rd rung, I was able to get all 3 reps. Similar to the first ladder, I probably got a little too ambitious. I tried to go for the 4th rung here in this 3rd ladder. I got the 1st rep, I got the 2nd rep. I was able to squeeze out the 3rd rep here, and then I'm gonna go for the 4th rep, but I fail about halfway up. All right, so this is gonna be the start of the 4th ladder. Just 1 rung here, not too bad. Jumping into the 2nd rung. I'm certainly starting to feel it at this point, because I am on ladder number 4. So unlike the 3rd ladder, I stopped here after the 3rd rung. I did not attempt to reach rung 4 just because I knew that I wouldn't be able to complete it at this point. All right, so this is the start of ladder number 5. The first rung was not too bad. As I go into the 2nd rung here for 2 reps, I can certainly feel it. I mean, I've done quite a few reps already at this point. And then here's the start of the 3rd rung. I was actually able to pump these out fairly okay. I was feeling pretty confident at this point that I might try the 4th rung here on this final 5th ladder. Got the 1st rep, got the 2nd rep. Was able to squeeze out the 3rd rep here, and then I go for the 4th rep, but I fail about halfway up. The thing about these ascending ladders with only 30 seconds rest is that the fatigue compounds, again, extremely quickly. Although I was able to achieve 5 rungs in the first ladder, it was clear that I struggled to maintain this number throughout the rest of the ladders. As per K Boges' progression model, I'll be sticking with the goal of 5 rungs until I'm able to complete all 5 rungs in all 5 ladders. And lastly, although pull-ups and chin-ups move the body through the same vertical path, the difference in hand placement that accompanies chin-ups generally means greater strength. Most people find that they're stronger in the chin-up movement because of the additional involvement and recruitment of the bicep muscle. If I had performed this workout with strict pull-ups, I'd likely have gotten to even fewer rungs overall. The important point to keep in mind here, I suppose, is the power of variety, both in terms of injury prevention, but also in terms of strength gains. If you plan on participating in this 8-week program or another high volume program, I'd recommend considering minor exercise and/or hand placement variation from one training session to another as a way to mitigate injury potential. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.